From the Reporter, the paper of record for Delaware County's towns and villages, this is Off the Record, a quick look at the latest county news. And when I say quick, I mean a little quicker than usual, thanks to the holiday and our production staff demanding some time off. Lazy bums. This week, we've got unanswered questions about the county budget, the water agreement with the city finally getting signed, and a bunch more. I'm Andrew Kantor. Let's get to it. So let's say you went over the county's 2026 budget carefully and you found some, let's call them questionable line items. And let's say you got a chance to speak at the county supervisors meeting and ask some of these budget questions. What do you think would happen? If you guessed that Supervisor Chair China Mole would basically shut you down and tell you that the supervisors meeting wasn't the place to bring up questions about the county budget, well, you'd be right. Walton resident Rhonda Williams found a bunch of issues with the county budget, but county supervisors weren't interested in hearing about them or even addressing her concerns. She brought them up at a hearing the supervisors were required to have before passing the budget, but they just let her speak and then ignored her. Why did the county's security budget jump 38% from $511,000 this year to $704,000 next year? Was a private company being hired? Mole and the supervisors wouldn't answer. Why did the county's credit card processing fees jump 384% from just $13,000 this year to $50,000 next year? Is there a better way to handle those fees? Mole and the supervisors wouldn't answer. Why did supervisors keep budgeting for $108,000 in one line of revenue, even though it's only brought in $17,000? How do they plan to make up the difference? Mole and the supervisors wouldn't answer. Seeing a pattern? Based on what you saw in the budget, Williams said it looked as if the county would be $4.5 million short in 2026. Where is that money going to come from? Still, no answers. In fact, the supervisors simply ignored Williams's questions and then voted to approve the budget. These are the same supervisors, by the way, who refused to allow citizens to speak at supervisors' meetings and who refused to even discuss sharing sales tax revenue with towns and villages like nearly every other county in the state. So who elected them? Oh yeah, we did. After nearly 4 years of negotiations, Delaware County and New York City have finally reached not just a landmark agreement, but an historic agreement on watershed protection and a bunch of help and money from the city. The deal doesn't give the city any new water rights. It already has state approval to draw from the Catskills. But the city did commit to funding some important local programs in exchange for, well, really just to be a good neighbor. So they've got this intergovernmental agreement that the County Board of Supervisors just approved. Let's see, what does it do? It puts some limits on where the city can buy land, especially in areas that look like they're about to start growing. It continues some existing programs that the city pays for, like septic upgrades, flood mitigation, agricultural support. And it even opens the door for some new stuff, like sites for renewable energy or maybe expanding cell service on the land the city bought. The county and the city both seem very happy with it, which is good, because it'll be a couple of years before they'll start talking about it all over again. Should police officers be allowed to have beards? What about tattoos? How about earrings? Colchester is wondering about all of that. Cops there can't have beards, but some officers are wondering if that could be relaxed. And there's also the question of tattoos. Turns out Colchester doesn't have a tattoo policy at all. These questions sent reporter editor Lillian Browne down a deep rabbit hole as she wondered what other departments in the county, and heck the state, were allowing. Some measure beards, some don't. Some have sideburn policies, some don't. Some allow some tattoos, but it depends where they are. The tattoos, that is. Anyway, if you are curious about what the rules are for police corps around the state, check out the story in the paper called Beards, Badges, and Boundaries. And in a few months, maybe we'll see what the Colchester Council settled on. Speaking of Colchester, the town council there is officially opposed to the new state law that's supposed to take effect in January, the one that requires most new buildings to be heated with electricity rather than oil, gas, or coal. The council members voted on a resolution opposing the new requirements, and they'll be sending a letter to the state. How much the new law will actually affect Colchester isn't clear. It's not like new buildings are being built there all the time, and it's not as if it really affects the town very much. But hey, there's nothing wrong with sending a letter and telling them how you feel. So you know the whole idea of this podcast is to convince you that you should subscribe to The Reporter, right? So I'm going to do a mean thing. I'm going to tease you. In this week's police blotter, in between the people driving without a license or with an expired registration, there is the person arrested for, and I quote, second-degree strangulation, third-degree assault, second-degree endangering the welfare of a child, fourth-degree criminal mischief, and second-degree unlawful imprisonment. If you want to know who it was, though, you need to read the paper. Delaware County is looking at taking a pretty big financial hit, and it's one that's kind of unpredictable. And worse, New York State is not coming to the rescue. It's all about the cost of psychiatric hospitalization for criminal defendants who've been ruled unfit to stand trial. They don't come up often, but you can imagine how expensive it is to keep someone in a psychiatric hospital. The way the law works, if a defendant needs to be hospitalized for months at a state forensic facility, the county pays every dime. These are called CPL 730 cases, if you feel like doing your own research. Like I said, they're pretty rare, usually. From 2010 till 2022, Delaware County usually spent less than $50,000 a year on these cases. But this year, more than $814,000, and there's still one more bill coming. It's totally random. That meant county supervisors had to transfer nearly $97,000 from the county's contingency fund to cover the costs. What about next year? Who knows? Behavioral Health Director Doug Elston says there's no way to predict when these cases will come up, how long they'll last, or what they'll cost. This year could be an aberration, or maybe it's a sign of things to come. So do you raise taxes and build up a contingency fund? Or do you hope for the best and then deal with a big old budget scramble if you have another year like this one? Don't ask me, huh? I'm just reading the script. Delhi trustees are still stuck trying to figure out how many cars can park on the head of a pin. More specifically, how they should update the village's zoning code for downtown parking. It's all about how many parking spots each building downtown should be required to provide. Should it be based on building size, so smaller stores wouldn't have to worry about it? What about apartments? What if there's a municipal lot nearby? And should trustees have the power to waive some parking requirements, or should they have to stick with whatever they end up putting in writing? Some trustees wanted to get rid of parking requirements altogether. Others wanted a strong code so developers couldn't find some kind of workaround. So while the rest of the village's zoning questions were able to move to a public hearing, the parking issue, that's going where all the tough questions go, to a committee. And that's it for this week's Off the Record. Told you it'd be a short one. You know what to do, though. Grab the Reporter, and you can read about, the Walton Ogden Library's slick new circulation desk. And the Delhi Police, they're talking about technology and vehicles and even heating their firearms range. And there's lots more. You do need to pick up the paper, or better yet, subscribe. Head over to the-reporter.net. It is your hometown paper, and it's a lot better than Facebook for getting the news. Until next week, I am Andrew Kantor. Thanks for being here.